Get set up here. Hello, folks. Sorry, give me just a second. I'm getting all set up. Ooh, storm's getting strong out there. Cool. All right. Okay, pull this up. Awesome. Hello, guys. Hope you're all doing well. Okay, so welcome, everybody. I was going to give you all a bit more time to, get settled in, but I think everyone's here now, so we will go ahead and get ready to start. I don't expect a lot of people to show up for this because I know a lot of people are aware that this isn't an objective tier list. So let me explain what's going on. So for those of you who don't know, some time ago, I released a video where I ranked the For Honor heroes based on my personal opinion on them. The tier list was not meant to be like an objective, okay, let's look at this from a, who's strongest, who's weakest, who's OP, who's broken, who's, most useful. Like, it wasn't an objective tier list because you guys know me. I'm not a good player. I'm not great at the game. And so it would be very hard for me to look at this from an objective standpoint and say, yeah, these are the characters with the most usefulness and playability in the game. These are the best versus the worst characters in the game. I'm not going to do that. That's not what I'm skilled at. What I'm good at is telling stories, talking about history, and genuinely making a fool of myself. So that was all the video was. But to be fair, I had a lot of people who didn't seem to understand that, and I got some very negative comments saying, hey, you're delusional, you don't know what you're doing. I also had some comments from people saying, hey, the music is too loud, we can't hear what you're saying. And I had some people who just didn't really agree with the list in general and thought that it needed to be better. And I thought back on it, and at first I was pretty angry about all that. I was kind of angry, like, guys, I can hear myself fine, the music isn't too loud, guys, this is my subjective tier list, all that kind of stuff. I took it to heart. And thinking about it, you know what, I decided I could do better. I thought I can do better. So what I decided to do was I decided to remake the tier list. Like, from the bottom up, I went through each hero, really thought about it, really planned out how I wanted to do it. And I also adjusted the tier list from S to D, from S to F. And I decided I'm going to approach this in a much more refined, collected way. Now, I do want to stress, my point still stands, this is not an objective tier list. Again, I'm not good at the game. I'm not a master of balancing or gameplay or anything like that. I can't do, that's not my area. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at this from my own subjective standpoint, how I feel about the heroes, why I feel the way I do about the heroes, and I'll put them accordingly where I feel they belong. S tier is going to be heroes that I think are just phenomenally great, no real problems I have with them. I can't think of a good complaint that would matter. If there is a problem with them, I don't see it. And then all the way down to F tier, where if they remove this hero, I would not complain. This hero needs a total rework, or even if they don't need a rework, I just don't like playing them or playing against them. So that's pretty much how I look at F tier, okay? So that is how I'm going to be looking at this. And in answer to Samuel's question, when do I do a Legends tier list? I don't think anyone, aside from like a very scant few in my community, want to hear my Legends tier list. Like, I don't think many would care to hear that. So we are going to take a look at this. Hope you guys are excited. I spent a lot of time thinking about this, And again, like I said, this is all subjective. If you disagree with my stance, you are free to disagree, and I respect that. There are many people out there. I saw POV in the chat a second ago. Maybe you're still there, POV. Don't know. But I'm sure POV could give you guys a much more in-depth explanation to why certain characters should be where they are. This is all, again, just my perspective. So, let's get started. Let's not waste any more time. Getting started first and foremost with Warden. So, Warden, I'm going to be real. Oh, wait, hold on. Oh, shoot. 1 second. My mouse turned off. All right, there we go. All right, mouse is back on. Okay, so, Warden. I'm going to put him in A tier. I put Warden in A tier, so a little bit of history with me and Warden. When I first started playing For Honor, Orochi was my main. I started playing Orochi first because I was in college. I was doing my studies on Asian culture and history, and at the time, the Wulin weren't a thing, and I was very fascinated in the way they handled the samurai faction, and Orochi was very much what I saw as the quintessential samurai, so I mained Orochi. And I also only played against the AI, so any character I played, from Knight, Viking, or Samurai, I always played the AI because I wasn't a competitive player. I only played against the bot, so that was all I did. But as I started moving forward and going into multiplayer and playing against people, I tried other characters, Warden included, and I really thought Warden was just a terrible character. I couldn't figure them out. I couldn't play them. I didn't know what to do with them. I thought, of all the vanguards in the game, Warden has got to be the worst. And on some level, I was right. He was not as complex as Kensei. He wasn't as easy to use as Raider. Of the vanguards, I stood by Warden was the weakest. But then I discovered my boy Havoc. And Havoc, as far as I was concerned, was a god of Warden. And at the time, I didn't know anyone else who played Warden well, let alone could play him like Havoc does. And after watching Havoc and seeing how he used Warden and some of the tips and tricks that he showed, I was like, okay, maybe I was too quick to knock out Warden. So I started playing Warden more, using some of the tips and tricks I picked up, and after a while, I fell in love. Oh, shoot. Did I forget to... Yeah, hold on. There we go. Did I forget to turn on the... I forgot to turn on the screen. Oh, I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot. See, this is why you guys can't trust me with doing tier lists like this. You can't trust me with tier lists because I'm going to make stupid mistakes like that. All right, that's it. We're not doing this anymore. Later, guys. Have a good one. I'm a 32-year-old idiot. Anyway. Okay. Where was I? Talking about Warden. I know I was talking... It was something about Warden. Oh, yeah. So I started picking up Warden, and I fell in love. I just loved everything about Warden. I had so much fun playing Warden, and that was kind of how I came to create Ruth, my OC Warden, who everyone in my community now knows and I hope loves. Ruth is probably my favorite legend that I've created, and so now that everyone knows that and knows why I picked Warden, I put them in A tier. The reason I don't put Warden in S tier is because while I do love Warden and I love their aesthetic, I love the longsword is the weapon of choice that I used when I trained in HEMA. Despite me putting Warden in A tier, I can't put them in S because there are some characters in the cast that I do feel Warden struggles against, even with his abilities. And I also do have to admit, I still stand by what I say. From a pure mechanical standpoint, at least to me, I think he is still one of the weaker of the vanguards. He does not have some of the things that I feel he needs to be on the level of, say, Kensei or Raider. But that, again, that's my perspective. That's how I look at it. So that's why I put him in A tier. So that is why I put Warden there. Again, I'm going to repeat this as many times as it takes. This is all based on how I feel about the heroes, where I feel they are, in my opinion, in terms of the game. This is not based on any objective criteria like viability or OP or anything like that. This is just how I feel about the heroes and how I approach the characters. Okay? All right. All right. So next up, we got Conqueror. Oh, man. Okay. Conqueror, I know that there's going to be some people who don't agree with me on this, but I got to put him in D tier. So the reason I put Conqueror in D tier is this. I don't like fighting against Conqueror, and I don't especially like playing Conqueror, but I can't put them in F tier because I want to like Conqueror on a certain level. Conqueror, to me, was a character that I thought was kind of creative. He was the only character on release who could not cancel attacks. When you threw an attack with Conqueror, you had to commit to it, and that's why giving him some unblockable attacks was such a good idea. I think the only thing he could do was soft feign into his All Guard, which I thought was a clever idea, but then they took that away and gave him cancelable attacks, and they made him capable of doing so much unblockable damage and nothing but just bashes. It's funny to me, I heard a joke one time, if you paint your Conqueror orange, you're unreadable, because basically all of Conqueror's attacks are orange. And so that's why I could not stand and still cannot stand right now playing against Conquerors, because they're so boring to go against. I just feel like there's nothing fun about fighting a Conqueror. The reason I put them in D tier is because I personally like Conqueror. The idea of a conscripted criminal being brought into the Knight's ranks to try and get redemption through combat is a cool idea. I think that's neat. But they were handled poorly, and I've heard from the Warriors Den that JC and the dev team are planning on fixing Conqueror in the near future and giving him the love he deserves, so hopefully he'll go from D to B or A tier. I just don't like what he is right now. So, sorry Conk, I gotta keep you where you are. Next up is PK. Peacekeeper. Okay. Brace yourself. S tier. So, let me explain why I put Peacekeeper up there. This is why. Peacekeeper and Warden have a very similar history with me. I did not think Peacekeeper was viable. For a very long time, I thought she was shit. I thought of all the assassins, she's got to be one of the worst in the cast. That was my perspective. However, things changed as I started watching other people play her, particularly folks like Sty Diana and, of course, Wexra. And if you haven't watched either of those Twitch streamers, I highly recommend it. Wexra is, of course, she needs no introduction. She is the PK queen. And Sty Diana, kind of an unknown for many of you, but she is also a god-tier PK player. And after watching them and seeing their tactics and strategies, I quickly realized Peacekeeper's a menace. Probably one of the best duelists in the entire cast. The only area she struggles in is 4v4s, but let me be honest for a second. If the only reason I give you a complaint is because you struggle in 4v4s, I could say that about all the assassins with the exception of Berserker. All the assassins struggle in 4v4s because they were not designed to necessarily be good in 4v4s. They were designed to be mobile, to constantly move out of the way attacks, dodge, take advantage of mobility, take advantage of positioning, take advantage of bleeds. That was kind of what they were meant to be like. So Peacekeeper wasn't designed around the idea of being tanky and enduring damage forever and ever. If Peacekeeper's in a position where she's surrounded by all 4 opponents, where's your team at that point? So I can't feel like I judge her too harshly for that. She doesn't even struggle in 4s that bad. Yeah, I would argue that of the assassins, she doesn't do that bad in 4s. But still, even if I were to hold that against her, I wouldn't drop her low just because of that. I feel like Peacekeeper is a very strong hero with no complaints that I can think about. Great drip, great overall playability, absolute pressure in the gameplay, and a great personality. I think Peacekeeper earned her spot in S tier. So I definitely really do like how Peacekeeper plays. So there is Peacekeeper. Next up is Lawbringer. Okay, before I place Lawbringer, I want to say this. Lawbringer was an S tier when I first made this video. But I admit now that I cannot stand by that in good conscience. I'm going to have to move Lawbringer up to A tier right behind Warden. And here's why I say that. Here's why I move Lawbringer up there. For a very long time, okay, follow me on this. For a very long time, Lawbringer was a very weak character. The entire community knew that Lawbringer was weak. He needed help. He needed to be boosted because for a long time he was a pathetic character that everyone laughed at. The only people who could use Lawbringer well were people like Zhanhu who could just take advantage of the big man and make him work. And the other people who used him well were the people who could get light parries easily and thus take advantage of his parry punish, which is what he was built around. But other than that, the casual player could not do Lawbringer well. When I was making my last tier list, I was so pleased that Lawbringer was finally a beast that I wanted him in S tier because I felt like he belonged there. Lawbringer has always belonged in S tier. He was meant to be in S tier. He is a titan among the For Honor cast. So why wouldn't he be in S tier? But I had to step back and really think about it. And I have to say this. While I love playing Lawbringer, I despise fighting them. Why? Because Lawbringer is now a bash chaining scumbag. Every Lawbringer I fight does the same thing. Dodge bash, dodge bash, dodge bash, dodge bash. There is nothing else to it. And if there's one thing I can't stand more than a character who is insufferably mobile like Shinobi or Afeera or Gladiator, it's a character who's a one-trick pony despite them having more in their kit. No longer are there Lawbringers who are good at parrying and punishing those parries. No longer are there Lawbringers who are good at mix-ups and 50-50 changes. Now there are bash, 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 and it drives me crazy, especially when I know there are more ways to play Lawbringer than just bash, 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 bash. But his bash is so good that why would you want to do anything with him besides just bash, 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 bash? So because Lawbringer is still fun for me to play, I put him in A. But I can't put him in S because he does annoy me so much to fight and he needs that bash fixed. I need to see some Lawbringers who are willing to go beyond just the bash spam. Still, I love playing Lawbringer, and I love the aesthetic of Lawbringer, so he gets a higher spot for me. All right, we're done with the original knights. Let's move on to the Vikings. And I want to stress this again. You're going to hear me say this a lot in this video. This is all based on my personal perspective. I know there are going to be some people out there who do not feel the same way, and I understand. I get it. Just understand where I'm coming from, okay? Next is Raider. Raider, I'm going to have to put in... Let me look at my notes. Okay, I put Raider in A tier, and I'll put him behind Lawbringer. And here's why I say that. When I did my video on Raider, when I did my official video on Raider, I said that he was a beginner's best friend. You know, if you're brand new to the game and you need to know who to pick up and you need to know how to basically figure out a character, Raider's a good one to pick up. He's got a lot of moves that are going to help you learn the game well. He's got a lot of hyper armor, which helps you trade blows. He's got a good soft feint and a guard breaker top tap. He's got easily accessible unblockables that he can chain. He's got a really strong zone attack, again, the unblockable, and he's probably the best ledger in the game outside of Warlord. So, if I'm being honest, Raider is a very solid pickup. He doesn't need a whole lot of changing. I think that he's one of the more solid, balanced characters in the game. He's insufferable to go against if they're good, but then again, you could say that about any character, really. So I put him in A tier for that reason. I think he's a very solid character to pick up and use and to understand. I think that every player of the game should at least have knowledge on how to use Raider. The only thing that annoys me about Raider, really, the only thing that bothers me about Raider is the way some people choose to play him in the gank. So let's say that you're on a zone in, like, let's say C zone in the, I can't remember the name of the map, but it's that Viking map with, you know, all the ledging locations. What annoys me the most is when you're up against a Raider and another guy. The Raider does not engage you. He just constantly runs away, then charges you to try to throw you off a ledge. And then if that fails, he just runs back and repeats that process. I find that incredibly annoying. Just like also Conqueror, but a Lawbringer or a Conqueror who just do nothing but bash spam. It annoys me when a Raider just says, you know what, I'm not going to engage you or try to fight you. I'm just going to take advantage of the ledge and run you off of it. And that is very, very annoying. So that is why Raider gets a little bit of a nuisance for me. So good on you, Raider. So, oh yeah, light spam. For me, light spam isn't going to be what destroys a character for me because... Here, look, I'll be real for a second. And I'll talk about this more when I get the characters who can light spam, like Nobushi. Here's my thing on light spam. I get annoyed by light spam, but it's purely because I'm not skilled enough to react to it well. Everyone always says, Raven, why don't you just parry? Why don't you just Here's the thing. It's both a skill issue and a technical issue. I play on a PlayStation 5, but my screen that I use to play is not a professional computer monitor. It's a cheap TV screen. I use a cheap flat screen TV that does not get high frame rate. So I can't read moves as well as some other people. So that's a technical issue. And then it's a skill issue because I don't play competitively all that much. I usually just play very casually, so I'm not good at reading lights. So understand this. Light spam annoys me too because I'm not good at countering it. Understand that, please. Understand that I'm someone who is not good at dealing with light spam. But if I judge every character like, oh, this is a light spammy character, so they have to go low, no, I don't want to do that to them. I don't want to do that to them because that's not fair. That's not fair because there are lots of people out there who rely on light spam because they're still learning the character, or they're up against someone who is just parrying everything that they throw heavy-wise, and they have to rely on light spam. Light spam exists for a reason. It is to punish people who do not be patient and watch for the red indicators. You don't have to parry every light. You have to be good enough to know when to block, to dodge, and to deal with them. I have learned ways around light spam. It doesn't mean I enjoy it. It doesn't mean I'm good at reacting to it. It doesn't mean I can parry it. But if I complain constantly, all this character does is light. If that was my only complaint about a character, that's very unfair of me to say. So I'm not going to sit here and say because Raider can light spam that annoys. I'll laugh at the Raider and go, wow, all you could do was throw lights. I'll laugh at that. But at the end of the day, I'm the fool who stood there and took 4 lights. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, I'm trying to be as fair as possible. Anyway. All right, moving on. I spent too much time on that. Warlord. All right, Warlord. I'm going to have to put you in C tier. So here's why. Warlord is also called Snorlord, and for a very good reason. Warlord is, in a word, boring. He is just a boring character. And everyone always asks me, hey, Raven, don't you think Warlord needs a rework? Don't you think he needs fixing? Don't you think he needs to be done better? And here's my response to that. Yes and no. But for different reasons. I would say yes to Warlord getting a rework because, honestly, he's kind of boring to play. His moveset is very simple. It is all based on just defense and reaction. Warlord is a very basic character to play who has been reworked so little, he's almost identical to how he was when he was first released. But at the same time, I don't want him to be reworked because how he is actually works. Like, you can't argue. Like, you can sit there and go, oh, Warlord's boring. Yeah. But he works. Like, we can sit here and complain, but it's effective. And so, for that reason, I'm scared of saying, let's rework him, and end up breaking him. There's an old saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's kind of how I feel about Warlord. Yeah, he's boring, but can I hate him when he's worked so effectively? I can't be mad. Like, I mean, sure, it annoys me sometimes, but I can't be mad at Warlord because it's effective. Yeah. He bores me, but it's an effective boring. It's kind of like sitting in church as a kid. It bores you, but you're getting something out of it. Did I really just tie Warlord play to church? I'm losing my mind. But yeah, so that's why Warlord is kind of middle of the pack for me. He's boring to play. I don't really find a lot of fun in playing him, but when I do pick him up, he's pretty easy. He's pretty easy to use. I don't have a lot of issue with him. Now, one thing that I will say funny about Warlord is when I did my very first video on Warlord, I said that he was very much a turtling character. His whole game plan is defensive reaction. And someone tried to say, no, he's a harasser. He uses his headbutt to harass people. My response to that is this. Play a Warlord and tell me how much they harass you. What Warlord's whole game plan is to either use their all guard to punish you with lights, headbutts, or their quick heavy, or they're there to crush and counter you, which they are very good at. The headbutt is their way to open you up for a light, no question, but they also use their hyper armor heavies to trade blows. Here's the thing about Warlord. You can call him a harasser if you want, but if you're using him if you're just looking for a harass character, get Orochi. Orochi's way better at harassing than Warlord is. Yeah, POV is exactly right. Harassing me with sleep, you're exactly right. So yeah, that's my stance on Warlord. Okay, next up is Berserker. All right, I'm gonna get some pushback on this one. I'm gonna get some pushback. D tier, but better than Conqueror. Okay, hear me out before you kill me, because a lot of people got mad at me on this. First of all, remember, this is my subjective stance, all right? I'm aware that Berserker's strong. He's incredibly strong. He is actually really good in most cases. Here's my stance on Berserker, though. He's an assassin. Like, okay. Calling Berserker an assassin is like calling a tiger a cat. It's kind of like saying, yeah, you missed a few steps. Berserker's the only assassin who I can think of whose whole kit almost entirely revolves around his hyper armor, which wouldn't be a bad thing, except for the fact that when I think assassin, I don't think a literal tank, but that's what Berserker can be, and on some level I understand it. thematically speaking, a Berserker would be a character who should be able to power through attacks. But at the same time, he still has all the tools in his kit that you would expect an assassin to have. He has access to a deflect, in fact, probably the best deflect in the game, given that he can guard break you with it. And he also has access to an undodgeable dodge attack. And he can easily mess with your head by canceling his heavy into a light, which still has hyper armor, by the way. And his zone is really strong too. He even has a backup zone. So he has the mobility of an assassin, but the tankiness of, well, a heavy. He has more hyper armor in his kit than most of the knights do. So when I look at Berserker, I not only see a contradiction to his very class, I see a character I cannot play against. I don't particularly like playing Berserker, and I hate fighting them, because whenever I fight a Berserker, I'm just like, I just can't deal. I cannot deal. It really is just spamming heavy to light, heavy to light, heavy to light, heavy to light, heavy, now heavy to light, heavy to light. And yes, everyone points out the same thing. Oh, well, all you have to do is just let him run out of stamina. Eventually that's going to happen. Yeah, again, you're talking to a casual cringe lord. I cannot do that. If I beat a Berserker, it's because I got very lucky or the Berserker was a noob. Those are the only two answers to that. So, yeah, I'm not a big fan of Berserker. And yes, people will say, well, yeah, if he's that good, why not put him up higher? Because, again, this is how I personally feel about the hero, okay? Okay, I do not have fun playing against Zerk. I don't even have a lot of fun playing as Zerk. I feel like it's just a character that breaks some of the rules that exist. You're an assassin, but you move like a tank. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't make sense to me. It's kind of like if you handed... Think of it like this. Think of it like this. It's kind of like if I made Shinobi have hyper armor on everything. It's like, that's not what he's meant to be. Yes! Because he's an assassin. So why did you make Berserker your assassin? By that logic, you should have made Valkyrie your assassin. And speaking of Valkyrie, baby girl. I'm going to put you in C tier above Warlord. Okay, so here's why Valkyrie goes in C tier. I actually like Valkyrie. I like her aesthetic. I like the theme of her. I like the idea of a character who, you know, fights for the honor of warriors who can't fight for themselves. I get that. That's cool. But I think the issue I have with Valkyrie is, despite me loving her theme, her aesthetic, and her weapons, the spear and shield being absolutely goated as a combination, and I wish we had more characters who fell on that idea, my issue with her is, compared to a lot of the newer characters that have been coming, she really feels like she's falling behind. She can't compete with a lot of these new characters who are so good at countering just about anything she can throw. She has no real hyper armor in her kit that allows her to trade. She has no unblockables to mix up her opponents. She relies on her sweep, which is good. Her sweep is strong, and there are great ways she can get into her sweep, but the sweep is also predictable, I feel like, and easily avoidable. Her All Guard is one of the weaker ones in the game, only giving her access to a bash and to a light, and if you read it coming, it's not that hard to avoid. Her heavies are incredibly telegraphed, meaning that you should be able to see them coming from a country mile away, which means she has to rely on soft feinting them into an All Guard just to be able to deal with you, and if you know that's coming, a timed dodge is all you need. And then there's her lights, which, again, if you're good at dealing with lights, is not that big of a problem. The only thing Valkyrie really has that I think makes her unique is her ability to crush and counter and pin with her dodge crush and counter, which I think are cool, but she needs something more. She needs some help, I feel like, and I couldn't tell you off the top of my head what she needs, but right now, I would say Valkyrie needs some help. Yeah, I agree. POV's like Gryphon is better. Gryphon is better than Valkyrie, which is sad. Gryphon and Valkyrie, I feel, are very similar, but Gryphon definitely is better than Valkyrie, which is sad. I want Valkyrie to be better, and she's not. So that's why I say what I do. Okay, that is Valkyrie and all the original Vikings. Moving on to the samurai. So, Kensei. Kensei was a hard one for me to decide. Kensei was a very hard one for me to decide. So, let me tell you where I see Kensei. Kensei is A tier, above Lawbringer, but behind Warden. Here's why I say what I do. Objectively speaking, and this is hard for me to admit, I think Kensei's stronger than Warden. I think Kensei has more mix-up capability, is a more complex hero, has more capability to mess with their opponents, they have an easy unblockable to get access to, and the ways that they can use that unblockable to either throw hyper armor heavies or go into guard break is incredibly useful. Plus, their dodge attack is honestly really good. Even though it's easy to tell that's coming, I still find myself getting caught by it quite a lot. They have more light capability. They have a easy soft feint into bash, which can open up for another light. I just feel like overall, Kensei is an all-around great hero. Why is he or she below Warden? Because I have way more fun playing Warden. Again, I need to stress, this is my personal perspective on the heroes. So if I were making this purely based on viability, yeah, Kensei would be higher. But I just feel like there's something about Warden that draws me to them a lot more. And this is going to sound weird. This is going to sound so weird, but follow me on this. I feel like when I beat a Kensei, I feel like I have to go, oh, man, that was insanity. When I play Kensei, I feel like I'm always falling back on either a hyper-fast zone attack or a hyper-fast light to get me into every single attack. I feel like I'm constantly sweating my nuts off. It's just insanity at times playing a Kensei. With Warden, I feel like I'm having fun. I feel like I'm having a lot of fun playing Warden. And I don't know why that is. I couldn't put it into words. It took me a long time to really think about this. Why do I enjoy Warden more than I do Kensei? And I don't know if I can properly explain why that is, but because of that, Warden is a little higher. Now, you're probably thinking, okay, but what else can you complain about with Kensei? Because you just said Kensei is awesome. Here's why. The fourth feat of Kensei, that unblockable spam thing. It is one thing to light spam, okay? I get that, it's one thing to light spam. But when you make every one of your lights unblockable for a brief period, and now don't get me wrong, not all Kenseis do this, but I've seen them. Some Kensei who just say, you know what, I'm feeling the pressure, let's make all of my attacks unblockable and pepper you with lights, and you just have to pray that you can either parry those unblockables, or you can dodge all of them and just evade me. It becomes oppressive, and I can't stand that feat. So, yeah, Kensei, I don't like that. Kensei is a fun hero, don't get me wrong, and I do like them. I just don't think that they're as fun to me as Warden is. So that's why I say that. Okay. Next up is Shugo. Shugoki. Let me look at my notes. Okay, that's fair. All right, Shugoki. You're top of C tier. Now hear me out on why I put Shugoki here. Shugoki's a lot like Warlord to me. Very basic moveset, very boring moveset. The difference is that that with Warlord is boring, Shugoki makes me terrified. If I'm up against a Shugoki, I am sweating through my pants, okay? Just, the big boy comes walking, I'm like, crap. Shugoki scares the bejesus out of me because of how strong they are. Shugoki can just plow through people, okay? So he's very oppressive, but let me look at this from another angle. I kind of enjoy playing Shugoki sometimes. He's kind of a fun character to just pick up and say, I don't feel like using my brain. I feel like just swinging for the fences. And there's something kind of respectable about that. Plus, he's got some moves to him. Like, I love the Huggy Wuggy, as Habit calls it, the Huggy Wuggy. Like, just coming in with that hug out of nowhere. There is nothing more satisfying than a dude who's scared of you so much that he's just standing still. And you just go, Huggy Wuggy, and then just... So I feel like Shugoki giving that hug is just funny. So there is something kind of entertaining about Shugo. There's something just kind of fun about Shugo. But do you guys know what I'm talking about when I say this? Imagine for a second, okay, you play Shugoki, right? Let's say you pick up Shugoki, you play him, you get destroyed. You get absolutely demolished. Okay, I'm not picking up Shugoki again. You play another character, there's a Shugoki on the other team. They kick your ass. They demolish you. They break you over their knee. And you go, wow, they did so good. Now I can pick up Shugoki and play like that. So you pick up Shugoki again, you get demolished again. That's me with Shugoki. I can't play Shugoki against other Shugokis. And I just feel like such a complete loser, because it's like, wow, Shugoki's so strong, he's so good, I want to be good with Shugoki. Pick him up. Who thought you could have fun today? Put the fat man down. Pick up a real character. You know what I'm saying? And that drives me crazy. That just drives me crazy. And it's not Shugoki's fault. It's clearly a skill issue, but that's one of the reasons I just struggle with him so much, because I feel like, man, he's such a good character. I should be able to play him a lot better than I do. But then I don't. And maybe it's the mentality thing. Like I said, I approach Shugoki with the mentality of, I don't want to think, I just want to swing and have fun. And if I want to play better, maybe I need to actually put some brain power into the fat man. I don't know. I don't know what it is. But POV's right. His nerfs were needed. So that's where I stand on Shugoki. Orochi. Oh, this is hard. But Orochi, I'm going to put in B tier. Now, hear me out, because I know there are about to be a lot of people who come running at me with knives and pitchforks. Orochi is in B because of this. I like Orochi. I like playing Orochi. Orochi can be very fun to get the hang of. I don't mind fighting a competent Orochi. Fighting a competent Orochi is usually very fun. In the past, Orochi was so annoying to me because they just had they had their lights, and that was all they had. Now they have so much more than that, and a smart, fun Orochi can make it very fun to fight an Orochi. Orochi can be a really fun character to pick up and fight against. I really do like Orochi, but there are two things about Orochi that bring them down the tier for me. One, and again, I cannot stress this enough, this is not entirely Orochi's fault. This is the fault of the players. But Orochi has earned the reputation as being a coward's character, running from fights constantly and relying on feats to get their wins. I cannot tell you how insufferable it is to me to be one-on-one with an Orochi. You've been reading them well, you've been playing really hard, and then they get scared, so what do? Every time, what do? Ki, kunai, run away, longbow, run away, nail bomb, run away. And then you're punished for trying to engage them in a fight that they don't want to have, and they use their feats to gain quick advantages on you. Now, here's the thing. You might say, well, Raven, that's a player issue, not a character issue. You're half right. But when you have a character with all these feats designed purely to give them a runaway advantage, doesn't that piss you the hell off? It pisses me the hell off, because I can't stand Orochis that play this way. And you might think, okay, well, how often do you run into that? Every damn time. And here's the worst part. I hate the ones who act cocky about it, who act like, I'm better than you, I'll beat you, and then they do that little emote stream that they love to do, I beat you. When you get them alone, when you corner those little bitches, they take off running, and what do? Ki, kunai, longbow, run away, nail bomb, ha ha ha. That annoys the fuck out of me. But that's just reason number one. The second reason that Orochi annoys me, the second reason, is because I will be 100% honest, their deflect, being able to cancel hyper armor, annoys me a bit. Here's my thought on that. If a deflect like Orochi's can cancel hyper armor, why can't the others? To me, deflect is a very difficult move for the casual player to pull off. It requires precise timing, and if it's pulled off, it's usually either pulled off as an accident because you timed right without meaning to, your dodge, or you were planning it and you did it just right. For me, more often than not, it's an accident. So Orochi pulling off a deflect is probably the safest deflect in the game against characters like Shugoki or Highlander or all these other characters who rely purely on hyper armor. So why can't Peacekeepers or Nuxias or Shamans or any of these other characters pull off the same damn thing? I think it's a little unfair that Orochi has this, because it's a safe move that Orochi has that sets him apart from all other assassins. If all other assassins had it, fine, okay, no problem, I'm cool with that. But he's the only one that has it. Why? That annoys me. So because that annoys me, I had to put him in B. B for bitch. So, yeah, that's why I put him there. Again, you're free to disagree with me. You're free to think differently. You may play Orochi and say, I would never play like that. I'm so good with the character. I don't need to play like that. And I'm totally fine with his deflect the way it is. I'm fine with that. You're cool to think that way. I have nothing against you. I don't want to start a war with you over this. This is all just how I feel about the characters. And I'm going to repeat that ad nauseum because I think people missed that in my last one, because people are saying, like, you put this character in D tier? Are you delusional? And I'm like, no, it's just my opinion. Anyway. Moving on. Nobushi. Okay, Nobushi. Let me look at my notes again. I gotta look at my notes every now and then. Okay, that's fair. Alright, Nobushi, I'm putting in B tier, but a little above Orochi. I'm putting them a little above Orochi. Okay. So, I know the complaints about Nobushi. Nobushi kind of gets two sides of the argument. One side says Nobushi is the most broken, worthless-ass hero that's ever existed. She's super easy to read. Her lights are just baby taps that don't mean anything for a person that can easily block or parry them. They have almost no viability in duels. Their undodgeable attack is slow and easy to deal with if you know what you're doing. Their kick is telegraphable, although I understand that they made that up. Didn't they make her kick unreactable now? No, they made it longer reaching. Regardless of that fact, there are a lot of people who just say that Nobushi is just shit. Then you have another side that say, Nobushi's too damn annoying, light spam constantly, too easy access to bleed, her heavies are undodgeable, meaning I can't even avoid her anymore, her kick is so freaking busted. I've heard all of it. All of it and then some. Here's where I stand on Nobushi. Nobushi is an honestly good character that requires you to think. And I think that there are a lot of people who don't want to think. Like I said, with Shugoki's a character I pick up because I don't want to think. When dealing with Nobushi, you cannot have the mentality of, I don't want to think right now. You've got to watch her. For a smart player, Nobushi can be dealt with. But if the Nobushi is smart, she can outplay you. Her hidden stance is very useful. Her kick, while I think could use some timing differences, is very helpful, especially when pushing into a wall, which guarantees a heavy. And thanks to POV, POV was the one who taught me this. I did not know until recently that you could that you could dodge cancel Nobushi's dodge attacks until he told me. And now that he's told me, I find her a lot more fun to use because I can go tap light, tap heavy, tap light, tap heavy, tap heavy. And then when they try to stop me by dodging, I can just sit there and parry and go right back into it. It's very fun. I find it very entertaining. And here's the funny part, I don't think she's OP in the slightest. Yes, I think that she's strong in the 4s. I think that she definitely has a lot of use in 4s, but I don't think that she's OP. I think that, honestly, she requires a wise head. She's not a character that you can just press over and over and over again. The worst thing a Nobushi player can do is just assume light, get success. That only works on new players. Against experienced players, you can't do that. You can't just go light, because they're going to figure you out and start parrying the hell out of you. Nobushi is not a character that can be used like a machine gun where you just hold down the trigger and you've got to think about what you're doing, and I think that is admirable. Now, is she great? No. I think she needs some work, especially in the dueling scenario. I think she needs some help in duels. But in 4s, I think she's exceptional. I think she does very well in 4s, which is why I enjoy playing her. I'm not good at her, but I understand her usefulness. So that is where I stand on that. Okay? All right. Now we're out of the original cast. We're moving on to the DLC stuff. So let's start with Centurion. Centurion. All right. Brace yourself. You're going to be surprised by this. In the past, I put Centurion in C tier because after the stamina changes, I thought Centurion was worthless. Okay? Now, I want to explain this because people misunderstood me. I want to explain this. It was partially my fault. I didn't fully understand the stamina changes, and I thought that removing the stamina punish from Centurion was not a good thing. And it's funny because people were telling me, actually, Raven, if you think about it, in a 4v4, like a break and run told me this. In a 4v4 situation, Centurion's Lion's Roar, which was his stamina punish, was still useful because it could stall for time. Yes, it could. What about in duels? See, I find it so funny that people seem to forget that there are 2 game modes for this. In a duel scenario, what are you pinning them and holding them down for? You're draining your own stamina just to not do anything to theirs. It's a useless move at that point. But now that he was still strong in 4s. He still has a lot to offer in duels. He's still strong, but he had a whole move that I thought really hurt him in the long run. Now that they've given it back, I'm going to put him up there in A tier above... Oh, nope, not above Warden. I still love playing Warden more than you. Get in your place, Centurion. There you go. Get in your place. There you go. So Centurion is right behind Warden for me just because I love playing Warden more. But Centurion is now a very strong character. Centurion is a much stronger character than I feel like a lot of people give him credit for. I think he is absolutely exceptional. I know that a lot of people complain, he needs a shield. Why would you need a shield when you can deliver a fist of justice? Am I right? To quote Monkey D. Garb, there's no defense against a fist of love. And that's what Centurion delivers all the time, every time. Playing Centurion right can be such a fun experience. I feel like outwitting your opponent with a timed punch, I think he has some of the most unique heavies in the game because usually, this is kind of interesting, think about this for a second, usually with a sword like Centurion's, you'd think the lights would be the stabs, while the heavies would be the slashes. Like, take Nobushi. Nobushi stabs with her lights, swings with her heavies. Centurion's the exact opposite. His lights are swings, his heavies are stabs, and sometimes that can throw off the timing of a good parry because, let me tell you all a little secret about me, quite often I'm watching the animation, and when I see like a Warden take a swing, I'm timing that swing based on the telegraph. With Centurion, since he keeps the sword so tucked to his body, it's not as easy for me to see the timing of the attack. And plus, since he can variable time that heavy, it makes it even harder to know when to parry his heavy. So I think that there's a lot of fun in playing Centurion and playing against them. Since it's so strong, when people say he sucks, it makes me so mad. I would never say Centurion sucks. I just felt like it hurt him when they took away his stamina. So don't be mad at me here. So Centurion, I feel, sits very nicely in A tier. I still like playing Warden more than him, but Centurion is a very strong character. I think he deserves a spot in A tier. I wouldn't call him S tier necessarily because I do have my complaints. Largely, it comes down to just I struggle against fighting against them. I'm not good at reading those heavies, which can very much annoy me. But other than that, yeah, honestly. Also, can I be just real? I don't like that every outfit he has is a cape. I think he looked really cool without the cape, but that's just me. That's just my personal opinion. Anyway, beside the point, moving on. All right, Shinobi. Oh, Shinobi. Where'd I put you again? Let me look at my notes. I take notes, guys. Okay, all right. Shinobi. B tier. Pretty much for the exact same reason as Orochi. But I put him a little behind Orochi because Shinobi annoys me on several levels. He's fun to play. I'm not going to pretend like Shinobi's not fun to play. I do enjoy playing them. And sometimes I can play against a pretty fun Shinobi. But I think my problem with Shinobi are three things. Number one, I do not like that Shinobi has similar feats to Orochi, which allow him to just run away as he needs to. Like, he also has Ki, he has Shuriken, which works even better than Kunai if they're close enough, and they too have Nail Bomb. I just feel like playing against a Shinobi, and plus Shinobi has their speed capability, which makes them able to avoid any conflict. I just feel like that's so cheap. Hold your ground and fight, you coward. The gank changes really nerfed him. Yes, they have nerfed him a good deal, which helps, but I'm just talking from my perspective as of right now. And again, I know that already people are probably getting mad at me because this is all my perspective. I'm starting to think I shouldn't have done this video, but we're here now. We're here for it. Oh, $5 from Boat. I got the closed beak helm on Virtuosa, and wow, it's got to be my favorite helm in the game. What do you all think? What do you all think? It's nice. It's not my favorite. Anyway, thank you for the $5. Thank you for the $5. Really appreciate it. I'm glad you like it. I'm glad you like that beaked helm. Yeah. All right, so give you a little heart for that. I just find Shinobi's annoying at times. I also am not a fan of their deflect. I think their deflect is also a little broken, just like Orochi's is. But it doesn't give as much benefit as Orochi does, I will admit. At least not in the right circumstances. It's a circumstantial zone. The other thing I don't like about Orochi is their weapon. Not Orochi, sorry, Shinobi. The other thing I don't like about Shinobi is their weapon. The Kusarigama that he uses are not practical. Like, literally, they are a character whose weapon has to break the rules of physics just to be viable. When there were better weapons you could have used. You could have used a short dagger or a short sword kind of thing. You could have held it in a reverse grip, which I think could have been very creative. But no, you went with this Kusarigama thing. Now, I'll grant Shinobi's not as annoying as he was back in the day when he could throw his Kusarigama across the map at you. But yeah, I still don't like the weapon. From a practical standpoint, I think they're an annoying weapon. It's so funny. When I was saying that I didn't want a rapier hero, and then we got one, people were saying, oh, you don't want a rapier because they're not practical. What about Shinobi's weapon? I've always said Shinobi's weapon isn't practical, but I didn't start making my channel until after Shinobi was out, so there was nothing I could do about that. I'm interested in your opinion, Raven. DW, this is a conversation, not an argument. Okay, fair enough, fair enough. I just want y'all to know that I'm not poo-pooing anyone's decision. If anyone likes playing a certain character and I don't say that they're my favorite, just understand my reasons why. This is all just how I feel about the characters. And understand that another part of it is skill issue. I'll admit, some of these characters that I struggle against are a skill issue. And if I played better, I'd probably be better. But I'm not better. So it's all just how I feel about the characters. So, moving on. Now we move on to Gladiator. What did my note say? Yes, I did say that. Okay. Lord, forgive me for what I'm about to do, because I'm going to get hate. Sit your butt right there. I don't like Gladiator. I don't like Gladiator. Many people ask me, which knight do you hate the most? Gladiator. There are a lot of reasons why. I don't like the weapon. I don't like the weapon. That's one thing. I don't like the Trident and Shield combo. If you're going to go with a Trident combo, go with Trident and Net, because then you could at least get the creativity of maybe using the Net like a trap attack. I don't like the Deflect. I know that it doesn't break Hyper Armor, but I still don't like it because it can ledge, and I don't like that. I do not like their Dodge Bash and Dodge Lights. I can, and yeah, you know what? I'm going to say it. I'm just going to say it because I know you're already thinking it. Skill issue. Yeah, a lot of it's a skill issue. A lot of it is a skill issue. But I find Gladiators so frustrating to fight against. I find them so frustrating to fight against, and I don't like playing Gladiator that much. I don't like using Gladiator. Gladiator, full respect, is most likely a very strong character for a lot of people. I know a lot of people swear by Glad. I know a lot of people enjoy Glad. I know a lot of people play them well and think that they're great. I, for one, struggle not only to fight them, but struggle to play them. Every time I think I've figured out, oh, okay, I've got Gladiator down, I get schooled by newbies. I've been destroyed. You don't love 38 damage? Yes, that's another thing, POV. Thank you for reminding me. Oh! Then there's also the fact that there are times where I know I timed it right. I know I dodged Gladiators freaking heavy. I'm like, oh, I see that heavy coming. I know what to do. I'm going to do a dodge. No, it still catches me because that trajectory is a bitch. I hate the toe stab. I hate that toe stab. I hate that they... You know what? I'm going to say this, and it's probably going to piss off every Gladiator main in existence. I hate that they brought back that out of stamina punish with the toe stab. I hate that. I hated it. So effing dumb. I also hate that you can move the toe stab into a skewer. I hate that too. I hate that if you do a skewer against a wall, it gives you a free bash opportunity. And if you've watched John DeLiner's video on a little tit with Gladiator, you learn that you can do even more with that. Just, I don't like Gladiator. I don't like him. Even Raptor Rex said he's done defending the hero. Okay, it's good to know I'm not the only one who gets annoyed by him. I'm glad I'm not the only one annoyed by this hero. I understand why people like him. I understand he's got a fan base. I see him all the time. I see Gladiators in everything. But I don't like him. Okay? Please understand that. Okay. Oh, I just lost 10 viewers. I need a drink. Oh my god. Crack this one open. I need a drink after that. Okay. I don't like Gladiator. There we go. I've said my piece. All right. And again, if you want to say skill issue, fine. Yes, it's a skill issue. I don't like him. All right. Anyway. Highlander. Highlander and me have an odd history. I used to hate him. I even made a video saying that I didn't like Highlander. Then he got his rework. I love Highlander. Highlander, you get a nice, juicy spot right up there behind Centurion. I actually like playing you almost as much as I do Centurion and Warden. You're actually probably the most fun out of all the Vikings for me. Like, I'm not even lying. I'm not kidding. I have a great time playing Highlander. I struggle to fight them, which is why he's not an S tier. I have a hard time reading a very good Highlander. There are times that they get parries. I'm like, okay, how did you get that parry? How did you get that parry? That doesn't make sense. But I actually like playing Highlander. I think there's a lot of fun in him. He's the one Viking that I think is the most fun for me to play. I'm sorry you hate Highlander POV. And I respect... Actually, you know what? I'll give you this. I'll give you this much. I understand why people don't like him. I've heard a lot of people say how much they don't like him. And you know what? I understand it. I understand because he's basically been given everything in the kitchen sink. Except he doesn't have undodgeables, I don't think. No, he doesn't. I think the biggest problem I have with Highlander is when he gets into his offensive stance, I always struggle to read what he's going to do next, which really is a game of rolling the dice and hoping you come up good. So yeah, I understand why people don't like Highlander. I like playing him. I enjoy playing the character. I understand why people may not like him. I do get that, but I enjoy playing the character. So that is where I stand on Highlander. I at least like him more than when he was a weakling. All right, so I press out of stamina light. I win match. Fair enough, fair enough. All right, all right. Next up is Shaman. Shaman. I need a moment. Hold on, guys. 1 second. So, Shaman. I would have put Shaman in D or F tier in the past because I was very bad at playing Shaman and I hated fighting Shamans. When I was very new to the game, when I was very difficult, when I found it very difficult to play in PvP, I'll never forget this happening. it will live in my mind forever as a For Honor memory. I was playing 4v4, right? And I was up against this Shaman. I think I was playing Shaolin. And this Shaman did nothing but throw heavies and then soft feint into a bleed. And she did this 8 or 9 times in a row. And I could not block or parry a single one of her soft feint lights. She didn't even bother doing like her jump bite. She didn't even bother trying to do her bite. She just knew she was better, so just stab, 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 stab. It drove me ballistic with rage. It infuriated the fuck out of me. Because I was like, why? Why? How come you're this good? How come I'm this bad? Why is this happening? Fast forward several months later, I recognized the name. I was up against the same person. I played Shaman. And I did the same thing to them. But the difference was they parried me on the third one. When I threw the third one, they parried me. But then when they punished me with the heavy and they tried to go for another, I read it, deflected the light, stabbed, then pulled back and bit them and killed them with the bite. It was so satisfying. It was so satisfying that Shaman immediately flew up in the ranks for me. Shaman, I'm going to put you in B tier right behind Nobushi. Right there. Now, understand me on this. I understand the hate for Shaman. I get it. She's a wild bitch with a crazy design, and she is absolutely insufferable. POV pointed it out. Insufferable in duels, fun in fours. I love Shaman in fours, and since I play fours more often than duels, yes, I love Shaman in fours. I am not good at reading her most of the time. I do get messed up a lot of the time, but I love playing her. Especially once I started getting the hang of her moveset more. I'm still not great with her. I still have to practice more with her. I feel like practicing Shaman is just working uphill for me because she doesn't play with a playstyle that I'm used to. But God, is she so rewarding when you pull it off. Like, y'all remember not too long ago, I made a Druid Shaman character. I did a how to build video on her. I took her out to play in a 4v4. I was playing so well and having such a fun time. Like, it was so fun. Even when I was losing, even when I was getting my butt kicked, I was like, this is fun. So yeah, Shaman, I gotta give you that one. I love playing Shaman. So they can be a frustrating character, but I do love them. So I gotta give him that. All right, next up is Aramusha. Ooh, okay, all right. I need a drink. I need another drink for this. Y'all are gonna hate me. Y'all are gonna hate me. I know y'all are gonna hate me. Y'all are gonna despise me. Y'all are gonna absolutely despise me. But Aramusha's D tier. I hate Aramusha. I hate Aramusha. Especially after their rework, where they're just so oppressive now. Their new rework makes them so bitching annoying. The unblockable heavies off of everything into a soft feint light. The zone into a soft feint light. Oh, I hate them so much. It's so... Look, I could respect... No, let me put it this way. I'll say it like this. Maybe this will make sense. Maybe this will make sense. Maybe this will make sense. I could respect Aramusha in the old days. Before their rework, I could respect Aramusha. That takes skill to pull off. You've got to know how to do your soft feints right. You don't have to rely on light attacks all that much because you know how to time your all guard just perfectly. You know your character and you know how to use them right. Now it is literally just unblockable pressure. And that annoys me so much. That annoys me so much. I understand. I know people love his rework. I know it made him objectively a better character, but he pisses me off so much right now. He pisses me. And you know what? I never was a huge... You know what? Where I would have put him in the past? I probably would have put him in C or B tier. Because you want to know another thing I hate about Aramusha? That stupid fucking Viking hat! I hate that hat! He looks like such a moron walking around with this big ass hat. That dumbass hat! I'm sorry. I know a lot of you are going to hate me now. I know that a lot of you are just done. Like, Raven, you're a complete fool. You're a moron. I hate you, and I'm never watching you again. I'm sorry. I just don't like him. I don't like fighting him. And again, skill issue. Yes, it is a skill issue. I'm not skilled. I'm a complete loser. I'm an awful player at this game, and that should tell you why they're there. Okay. That's my piece on Aramusha. That's my piece on Aramusha. All right. Moving on to the Wulin. All right, Tiandi. All right, this is going to blow your mind. This is actually going to blow your mind. I love Tiandi. I actually love Tiandi. They are my favorite character. One of my favorite characters to play. I absolutely adore playing Tiandi. They are one of the most fun vanguards to me because they break the rules of what you would think of a vanguard. They move almost like an assassin, but they have the damage and output of a vanguard. They don't rely on unblockables because they don't need unblockables. I've heard a lot of people say that unblockable spam is just necessary in this game. Tiandi proves it's not true. He doesn't need unblockables. The way he moves, his soft feints, his undodgeable lights, while some would call very annoying, I call it, well, you clearly weren't watching what you were doing. If you see a Tiandi who's doing spamming dodge lights, you don't even need to parry. Just block them. Because you know where he's going. The only time it's really oppressive is when he's mixing up his dodge forward light with his dodge forward bash. But I really do love playing Tiandi. I think he's a very fun character to play. I love playing against a smart Tiandi. I love pitting myself against Tiandis. Their zone is honestly really good. Their kick, after getting reworked so that you can actually follow up the kick with a heavy, is great. I don't know, man. I think Tiandi's a really fun hero. He's got good drip. Fun to play against, strong in duels and in fours. I will say, I think Tiandi is one of the most fun characters for me to play. I absolutely love Tiandi. I really, really do. So yeah, I gotta say, Tiandi I think is an S-tier hero in my opinion. I don't have anything bad to really say about them. I know a lot of people complain about, oh, they're the screaming hero. They always, no, this is no joke. This is no joke. I heard a person who, in my own community, who was like, I can't stand Tiandi because they're always screaming. You know what their main is? Jormungandr. Really? You're getting on Tiandi for screaming when you play Jormungandr? Really? Really? But yeah, there you go. Yeah, there it is. People scream. People like PTSD from the screaming. If you can't handle Tiandi screaming, but you play Jormungandr, you need to get your ears checked. Anyway. Moving on. Jiang Jun. Okay, Jiang Jun, he was kind of hard for me to decide. Jiang Jun was a little hard for me to pick. But if I'm being honest with myself, I'm going to put him in top tier B. And here's why I say that. I don't think Jiang Jun is the best of the best in anything, but I think he's really strong in both duels and in 4v4s. His ability in 4v4s to keep enemies at a distance with his zone attacks, his ability to do an unblockable off of a parry, I like. I like his Shifu stance, which not only allows him to evade attack, but also allows him to gain back stamina, I think is very useful. His unblockable heavy is so useful. The only thing I don't like about him, I feel like, there are two things I don't like about him. The two things that I don't like about him is, number one, his dodge attacks, which, frankly, a lot of people rely on, are a little bit hard to use because they're guard breakable at the right timing. And I also feel like some people, maybe it's because they don't play him right, but I feel like they do their soft feint into light dodge attack very badly. And I feel like a lot of people read that way too well. But regardless of that. And then the other aspect of it is I'm not a big fan of all of his looks. His drip doesn't always get me. Some of his drip looks really tight, others looks really bad. So if I'm being frank, there are aspects of Jiang Jun that I really, really like. I don't think he's kind of like and the best way to look at it is he's a jack of all trades. He's really good in some areas, really weak in others. But I like Jiang Jun. I really do. I think that he's a fun character. I enjoy playing him. I think that he's very neat. So I think he belongs in A or B tier. I put him in top tier B because I'm not sure if I put him in A, but he feels better than B. I don't know. It's a hard call for me. But I do enjoy Jiang Jun, which is why he goes where he does. All right, next up. Nuxia. Oh, my girl Nuxia. My girl Nuxia. Okay. Before I put Nuxia in her place, I want to stress this again. This is my opinion, and I know that I'm going to piss everyone off with this. I know that some of you are about to unsubscribe to me for this decision. I love Nuxia. I put her in A tier. She's a top tier character. If Warden isn't my main, Nuxia is, because I absolutely love playing Nuxia. I have so much fun with her. Like, okay, I know her trap attack is annoying. Yeah, I know it's annoying. I get it. I understand that. But on some level, I think it's nice to have a character who, you know, kind of bends the rules a little bit in some direction. Like, it's not a game-breaking thing. It's not something that's going to destroy you. There are counters to her. Here's the thing. I hate playing Nuxia against assassins because assassins can be very difficult for me to deal with as Nuxia. Her deflect is not nearly as strong as Berserkers or Orochis or Gladiators. I feel like she's got a very decent deflect. And also, if you whiff a trap attack, you can throw your light attack to follow up so that it's not like you're just totally exposed. After getting her zone attack fixed, I think that it's actually a very viable move in the game now. I really like Nuxia. Like, I really enjoy her. Oh, wow. I lost like 10 viewers right there. Oh, my God. Yeah. Oh, my God. Nuxia not an A tier. Like, dude, she's an A tier. She's one of my favorites to play. I know I just lost a lot of my credibility, but, yeah, POV probably says we can't be friends anymore. POV probably just threw the book at me. Just like, nope, Raven, we can't be friends now. I hate you. I joined the club. A lot of content creators have said they hate me. So, it's what it is. I actually, y'all will be surprised, kind of a side tangent. Y'all be surprised how so many people in the For Honor community can't stand me. I have been called a lot of things. If you go to the For Honor subreddit and just look up my name, there will be a few who say I'm a creative storyteller, but a lot of people just shit on me so hard. I have been shat on. I've repressed the last 5 minutes. Yeah, I know. POV can join the Hate Raven Club. So yeah. One of the reasons I was scared to do this video, but here we are. All right, let's move on. Well, let's get this done. Shaolin. Shaolin, I am also going to put up an A tier. I actually will put him right above Highlander, but below Centurion. I really like playing Shaolin. Like I said with Tiandi, they're a character that doesn't need an unblockable to be good. I think they're a balanced hero. I think that they're very fun to play. I like their mix-up capability. I like the fact that their key stance is a creative change. You know what? I'll say this. I like their key stance more than I like Highlander's offensive stance. I think that the key stance that was given to Shaolin was a brilliant idea. I think that they are very fun and engaging to play against as well as play as. I feel like if you're playing again, the only thing I don't like about Shaolin, which is why they're not in S tier, is the flicker tech. I do not like the flicker tech. I think that needs to be fixed. They haven't, and I wish they would, but they haven't fixed it. The flicker tech is the only thing I find really annoying about a Shaolin, but there's just something impressive about a Shaolin who can just destroy a whole team of enemies, and I gotta admit, I find that very impressive. I say put Nuxia in S tier, just full send it for funsies. But yeah, I really do like the key stance. So I like Shaolin. I enjoy them. So there you go. I love me some Shaolin. You know what? I'm reading some of the chat right now. Y'all are right. Full send it. Let's get Nuxia up there. S tier. Let's go. Nuxia belongs in S tier. Y'all are right. Full send it. Throw it all the way. Let's put Nuxia up there in S tier. You're right. You're exactly right. Okay. All right. Next up is Black Prior. Black Prior I'm putting you in A tier. Now, let me explain why he's in A tier. Let me explain why he's in A tier and not S tier. Because there is a large part of me that wants to put him in S tier. And I think if you change 2 things about Pryor, and I'll put him in S tier. Just change 2 things. I'm not even kidding. Change 2 things about Pryor and I'll put him in S tier. 1, take away his Funbreaker feat. I hate the Funbreaker feat. If you don't know what that is, it's his 3rd feat, which allows him to remove the shield of someone who enters revenge, or who gets a shield in general. I do not like the Funbreaker. I think it's a bad feat overall. It's not helpful. They fixed it in a big way, because what it used to do was remove a shield and keep you from gaining one, which was necessary, but I do feel like just the ability to just sit there and wait and say, oh, you got revenge? All right, taking that away. Maybe if you just remove shield that wasn't revenge, you know? Maybe if it wasn't revenge, but another kind of shield, or maybe if you use it to remove a buff or a nerf that someone got, something like that. I don't know. I just feel like if you're in a situation where you're in revenge, and your revenge is the only thing that can save you in this 4-on-1 situation, taking that away is such a shit thing to do to this person. So I disagree with that hardcore. I don't like the 3rd feat. The second thing that I would change is Black Pryor okay. I'm trying to think of the best way to phrase this. Black Pryor is known as the Edgelord of For Honor. And I feel like he could be more than that. And that, to me, just annoys a little bit. So I feel like Black Pryor just has to sit here, kind of nice. But tell you what, you take away Funbreaker, I'll move him up to S. Maybe even put him ahead of Nuxia, because he could be very fun to play. But right now, I got to be honest with myself. While I love playing Black Pryor, Funbreaker makes him a little bit hard for me to deal with. So, that's why. All right. Next up is Jormungandr. I'm putting you in C tier, a little behind Shugo. So, with Jormungandr, I don't know what it is. I spent a very long time thinking about this. But Jormungandr annoys me to a certain extent. I'm not saying that they're worse than how they used to be, but at least with how they used to be, I felt like I could deal with them a bit better. With Jorm now, it literally is just light zone, unblockable heavy that you also can't dodge for some reason. There are times where it's kind of like with Gladiator. There are times I feel like I dodged the unblockable heavy and yet I still ate it. I don't know. There's just something about, I don't even know how to put it right. There's something about Jorm that just rubs me the wrong way when I fight them, and it becomes very, very difficult. I also cannot stand their fashion for the most part. A lot of the looks I've seen on Jormungandr look absolutely dog shit. Like, most of them just look absolutely terrible. Like, he looks freaking crazy. He looks more wild than Shaman half the time. And then I'll also say it, I don't think that the hammer he's using is a proper weapon. Kind of like with Shinobi, I don't think it's a practical weapon to use. I'm just not a fan of it. Like, I feel like if you're going to give a character a hammer, make it a legit warhammer, not that Thor looking crap. So yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just not a big fan of Jorm. I know that he can be useful. I know that people like him. I know that he's a stronger hero than he used to be. I'm just not a fan of him. I feel like Jorm can be very difficult to deal with a lot of the time, so I'm just not a fan of him. Plus, the screaming annoys me. His screaming annoys me. I can deal with Tiandi, but Jorm's screaming just, that's so annoying. Like, what's he trying to do? It's a sad day when the male screamer sounds more high-pitched than the female. All right. Hitokiri. You going after your 2. How do I describe Hitokiri in a way that makes sense? It's like the For Honor developers said, okay, guys, we need a new Samurai Heavy. Let's make them exactly like Shugoki and yet somehow make them worse. Hitokiri, to me, is a very annoying character because they are lazy. With Hitokiri, it's just swing constant heavies and get results. It is literally endless heavy spam, variable timed heavy spam to throw off your opponents. A bash that I don't think is healthy. I don't think that bash is a healthy option, especially since, now hear me out, the way it works is so odd. You can start the animation for the bash, but the orange indicator does not activate until the bash actually begins to start. So you can throw off your opponents in a big way, almost guaranteeing that you can cancel it into a guard break. And whether it is a full-on bash or a single tap bash, you still get a free heavy for it, which I think is not right. Because, I mean, think about it like this. Think about it like this. Best way I can say it. Think about it like Centurion. If Centurion presses the bash button once, he gets a free light, not a free heavy. If he fully charges that bash, then he gets a free pounce attack or heavy. You know what I'm saying? With Hitokiri, it doesn't matter. Whether it's a kick or a sweep, they're getting a free heavy off of it. Which means it literally is the definition of a 50-50. You have to pick right, or you're going to eat a heavy. And even if you pick right and say, okay, I need to dodge now. Nah, we guard broke you, so now we can get a free heavy anyway. It really is unhealthy. If the single tap kick landed a light instead of a heavy, I wouldn't hate it so much. But because it can give you a heavy regardless, or you can just guard break them anyway and make sure you get that heavy, it feels very oppressive. You want to know what's funny? I used to play a game with myself called Count the Light. And if I was up against a Hitokiri, I would count how many times a Hitokiri threw a light attack. I went into one match, not once did they throw a light. They just knew, I can just throw heavies nonstop. Heavies and kicks, heavies and sweeps, heavies and kicks, heavies and sweeps. Not once did they throw a light attack, because why would you? So, I don't like Hito. At the very least with Shugoki, you can make the argument that he can't spam heavies over and over again without costing a lot of stamina. His bash does damage and it doesn't guarantee anything, and his Huggy Wuggy is not as oppressive as it used to be. So at least with Shugoki, you have options outside of just variable timed heavies, and the light and zone of a Shugoki actually has merit. With Hitokiri, it literally is heavy, sweep, heavy, kick, heavy, kick, heavy, variable time, guard break. It really is annoying. It's a character that I feel like requires 2 brain cells to use, and you still get victory, so I can't stand it. I can't stand it. Next is Zhanhu. Zhanhu is going up there into B tier. I'll probably put them right behind Shaman. And here's why. Zhanhu suffers from the similar problem of Warlord, where they're kind of boring to play, I feel like. But at the same time, I don't know how to explain this. I like their mobility. I like that they can constantly move. They have dodge cancellations. I like their crushing counters a little bit more unique than just sitting there and just timing it right. You've got to make sure that your dodge and attack are on the same side. They're also one of those heroes that is able to do a dodge attack, but do the attack from a different side based on whether you put a heavy or a light input. So, if for those of you who are thinking, Virtuosa changed the game, Zhanhu could do it too, just not from the top. I find it kind of funny. I remember Havoc saying once, Zhanhu is the kind of character that if you play them like Orochi, it feels so interesting. I tried that once, and it was an interesting situation. The problem is you have to change up how you play with Zhanhu, because otherwise you will get destroyed, I feel like. People will start to learn, like, they're throwing a zone, I know to parry it. They're throwing this unblockable light, I know to parry it. Many people complain about Zhanhu because they have unblockable lights naturally in their kit, and I agree, that is a little bit annoying. I definitely agree with that. That is kind of irritating. But at the same time, it's not so strong that it can't be countered, and I feel like Zhanhu is a character that can be countered for the smart player. So that's why I put them in B tier. I do enjoy playing them. I can't play them for very long, though. They're a character that I can play for a few matches, then I need a break, which is why I feel so sorry for Havoc, because if y'all don't remember, during the Sun Wukong event, there was a little issue that For Honor had where they accidentally released the Baigu Jing armor set for Zhanhu, but you had to be a certain level to get it, and you had to collect it through the end game. Havoc had to level up Zhanhu from the bottom all the way up to a necessary level, and then try to get the armor set. I felt so bad because he was just grinding Zhanhu nonstop. It was so sad. Trust me, I could teach my mom to react to Zhanhu chain light. Oh, teach me POV, because I could use that training. But anyway, that is how I feel about Zhanhu. Warmonger. Okay. Warmonger, I'm going to slide right up there. Probably ahead of Black Prior, but behind Shaolin. Warmonger, I actually really have fun playing. Now, I want to get ahead of this right now. There are a lot of people who like to say, oh man, Warmonger just better Warden. I'm not going to say they're a better Warden. They're a different character altogether. I think that the way Warmonger fights is a different idea entirely behind what Warden does. I do think Warmonger, on a technical sense, is better than Warden in a lot of ways. But I do really enjoy playing Warmonger. I find a lot of fun in her moveset and how she plays. I think that people who struggle against her oftentimes, aren't thinking. Quite often, I feel like if you use brain power, you can usually outplay or at least survive long-term against a Warmonger. Their bash is useful, applies a bleed. And again, just like I was saying with Centurion, a simple tap bash grants a light. A long-term bash grants a heavy. Hitokiri, take notes, you bitch. I really do like the way that they're used. I think that the reason they're not an S tier for me is a couple things. Number one, I don't like that all their voice lines are in English. I think that's really effing stupid. I also find that sometimes, maybe it's, I don't know, I'm not entirely sure what it is, but there have been times where I feel like I dodged a bash and still got hit by it. Maybe it's me mistiming it or misreading it, but there are times I feel like that does happen and it does get on my nerves in a big way. And I also, this is personal for me, and I don't know if he's going to watch this video. I don't know if he watches my videos, but King Angelus is very annoying when he plays Warmonger. He just... If you've never played against King Angelus, his Warmonger's a nightmare. I just can never figure out how to outplay him. So yeah, that's kind of personal for me. It just that kind of gave Warmonger a bad taste in my mouth. But anyway, that's Warmonger. Gryphon. I'm gonna put Gryphon right up here, ahead of Shaman, but behind. Actually, no, a little ahead of Nobushi, because I do really enjoy Gryphon. Gryphon is honestly a character. I think, who was it that said this? I can't remember who said it, but they said it very well. If you lose to a Gryphon, it wasn't because the character is too good, it's because you read wrong too often. Gryphon is not a character who I think is too OP, and I also don't think he's weak. Gryphon is the kind of character that, again, if you lose to a Gryphon, it's not because he's strong, it's because you misread. For a long time, yes, Gryphon was monkey brain. I agree with that. It literally was just throw dodge heavies and get rewards. I feel like he's been fixed a lot since then, and I feel like he can compete now with a lot of the bigger characters without all the same things they have. He doesn't need unblockables to be a contender. He needs that good kick or that good light. His zone is honestly pretty good. I like the way his zone works. I think his weapon is really cool. The only problem I can give to Gryphon is this. Two things. The first is I wish I was better with him, but again, skill issue. And two, lore-wise, I don't like how all Gryphons are just holding cross. I feel like there should have been an order called the Order of the Gryphon, and all of them are Gryphons, and maybe Holden Cross trained them. But the idea that they're just all Holden Cross, it makes it really weird if you look at the game from a lore perspective, and you have a team with 3 Gryphons on it, like, wow, Holden Cross learned Shadow Clone Jutsu. How'd he do that? So, yeah, I gotta admit, that is annoying to me. So, when I play a Gryphon, I like it when I fight a Gryphon who's pretty strong, you know? They can be very fun. But yeah, I agree. He should have been the first Outlander. I agree with that wholeheartedly. All right, next up, Kyoshin. I need another drink before I do this. That wasn't a good enough drink. I need another one. One more. Okay. I'm ready now. F. Actually, no. I'll be nice. I like you more than Hitokiri. I don't like Kyoshin. I do not like Kyoshin. From an aesthetic level, you know how people like to call the samurai the weeb team or the weeb faction? I never liked that. Then Kyoshin came along. Now I see it. He is just weeb the character. He really is. Number 2. Okay. All right. I'm going to say why. I'm going to say it. Here's why. All right, I got you. You ready? I'm going to explain my reasoning. You can disagree, but here's my reasoning. Kyoshin in one-on-ones in a 1v1 situation isn't too bad. I can deal with a Kyoshin in one-on-one situations, okay? If I mess up against a Kyoshin in a duel, that's one thing. But in a 4v4 situation, in a match of more than one person, Kyoshin has the tools to be pretty much unbeatable in the gank. All he has to do is stick to an opponent and just sit in Kage stance. Just sit in Kage stance. You can occasionally apply some pressure by faking a unblockable heavy, but then go right back to Kage stance. You don't need to do a damn thing. Just sit in Kage stance. Tell you why. Because, and this is the case with all guard characters. They just have to sit in their all guard. Because if the opponent decides, all right, I'm going to focus on the all guard character and try to guard break them or unblockable them to get them out of all guard, well, now the other player can just attack you pretty freely. Or if you focus on the other player and let them sit in their all guard, well, now they can apply pressure on you when you get caught up in their attacks. It's a very annoying thing to do because further, if you hit their all guard with one of your external hits, they can now get the benefit of getting their all guard reaction. Now, for some characters, it's not so bad because all Warlord can really do is throw his light or his heavy. The light guaranteed, the heavy is not. Or it could be like Valkyrie, who all she can do is bash and go into a light. For some all-guard characters, it's not such a big deal. For Kyoshin, assuming he has his first and second feat, he can get 3 lights on you, all of which grant him health and grant bleed on you, which gives him massive benefits just for you nicking his all-guard. So now some might say, well, he doesn't have to do that. There are some Kyoshins who don't play that way. Sure, but much like I said with Orochi and Shinobi and their feats that just encourage them to run like bitches, why wouldn't a Kyoshin just sit in that all guard the whole time? What reason does he have not to sit in that all guard? He has no reason not to. Because all he has to do is just sit in that all guard and then up an external attack. You weren't aiming for me. You were just trying to apply pressure to the other guy. Doesn't matter. I now get 3 lights on you, which bleed you and give me health. And then when you think, all right, I'll punish you for that, I'll back in all guard now. I'm back in my all guard. You don't get to touch me. And then it becomes hell. Now, of course, someone may say, oh, well, this is a 4v4 scenario. Get a friend to come help you. Well, assuming your friend does come to help you, that's awesome. That's great. That's wonderful. I'm glad they did. What if they don't come? See, that's why Kyoshin annoys me so much. It is a character that if you can master... Because POV here is a Kyoshin guy. I get that. I really do get that. And I know that there are lots of people in my own community who swear by Kyoshin. And you know what? I get it. He's got a cool aesthetic. The basket head's nice. I like the sword that he's using. I think he could be awesome. The problem I have is his kit makes it so easy for him to just find a pen pal, find a buddy, hold his hand, and then just apply free pressure. Apply free pressure. Why would a Kyoshin ever want to fight on his own when he can find a buddy and sit with them in all guard? A lot of people who are complaining right now about Virtuosa teaming up with another Virtuosa and just both of them sitting in their posture and there's nothing you can do. Kyoshin is exactly that. Kyoshin is exactly that. Imagine fighting 2 Kyoshins at once, both sitting in Kaze stance. What are you gonna do? Unless you're a raider who can throw an easy unblockable heavy or a Shugoki who can throw an easy unblockable heavy, all you can do is say, well, I'm fucked, and then just sit there and take the damage. It is ungodly annoying. Now, how do you fix it? There are a few recommendations I could give. Make Kyoshin's Kaze stance like Virtuosa's stance where it doesn't regain or lose stamina. That's one idea. Another could be nerf his damage output a little bit. Maybe it could be if you apply bleed with his first feat, a follow-up residual attack after the initial 3 lights cancels the bleed. I don't know, but right now it is way too easy for a Kyoshin to just be a little bitch, find a buddy and say, all right, Kaze stance, and then just hold that indefinitely. And here's the funniest part about it. It should be the only all guard that costs stamina. You know what I mean? With every other all guard, the guy's just sitting behind a shield, right? But with Kyoshin, it's just spinning a sword around him. You know, that takes focus and concentration. Shouldn't that, you know, at the very least, pause stamina regeneration? To me, I feel like it's just too easy for Kyoshin. It is too easy for him. And that's why I don't like Kyoshin. Now, I'll re-stress this. If I fight a Kyoshin one-on-one, not a big deal. You know, not a big deal in that case. Kyoshin one-on-one can usually handle okay. Their moveset isn't the problem. But in 4v4s, it's way too easy for a Kyoshin to just say, I don't need to try, I just need to hold down my all guard. I would say it can drain stamina after a certain time. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. I'll take that. After a certain time, maybe it starts draining stamina. Like maybe if you sit in it for longer than, say, 4 seconds, it starts to drain stamina. Like something like that. So, but still, as Kyoshin is right now, he is a bitch-made character. I can't stand him. Can they be good? Yes. But as they are right now, I can't in good conscience say I like them. All right. Next up is Pirate. Yar heart. Okay. I'm not going to do that to you guys. Pirate, I'm going to put Pirate in B tier just ahead of Zhanhu. And this is going to piss off some people too, because I understand how people feel about Pirate. I'm going to tell you the truth right now. I feel so bad for Pirate. I feel really bad for Pirate. When Pirate first released, I loved her. I was like, this is so creative. A character based on a pirate, Changshi, from actual history, who is very little known in the West, who is a very cool individual, and I did a whole video on that history, and yet no one liked her. And there were 2 sides to it. Actually, 3. There were 3 sides. The first side, she's bad because she's OP. I can't argue with that. She was OP on release. I won't argue with you. She definitely was. The other camp, we wanted Blackbeard. Okay, and I explained why Blackbeard's an overrated character. And then the third one, why is it always female gender locked? To that I say, politely go chew glass. I thought that she was a very creative addition. And I said, guys, we don't need a Blackbeard character because Changshi is awesome. I don't think all of her cosmetics are good, but I thought that the idea of Changshi was a really cool idea. We just needed to fix the OP part. We needed to nerf her, and she has been nerfed. I now think that she is a much better character than she was. Is she still strong? Yeah. Is she difficult to deal with? Sure. But I think she's a lot better off than she was. But as was the case with this, all right. I'm going to say this. This is kind of a side tangent, but I do want to say it. Someone told me in my own community, this is the season of fuck Raven. Someone told me this season is the season of fuck Raven. And I'll tell you why. First, I said for a long time, Changshi is a perfectly good pirate to draw inspiration from. We do not need a Blackbeard pirate because Blackbeard is overrated and you guys have just been complaining about it way too much. I think what we've got is good. What's the first hero skin we got this season? Blackbeard! Move forward a little bit. I've said for a long time, guys, we don't need a rapier here in For Honor. A rapier isn't that good of a weapon in this kind of setting. A rapier wouldn't last long in this kind of medieval fighting game. What hero did we get? Rapier Hero! And then I've lost so many subscribers and I have gotten so much vitriol from not only my own community but from some other folks as well. It's kind of like if Ubisoft just said, hey, you know how Raven said all these things? Let's roll that middle finger up. Bing, ding, ding, fuck! So I feel bad now because anytime I go into a match where there's a pirate, odds are pretty good. It's Blackbeard. And I'm like, it's almost like they're like, hey, Raven, look, you said you didn't want it. You said we didn't need it. Look what we got. One person even commented on my video about that, saying, hey, Raven, it's a good thing the devs listen to the fans and not you, huh? I'm like, yeah. So it's Ubisoft Order 66 Raven. Execute Order 66. So yeah, I feel bad for Pirate. Anyway, back to why Pirates and B-Slot. I know that I went off on a tangent there. Pirates and B-Slot because I actually enjoy playing the character. I have a lot of fun with them. I think that the inspiration behind who they are is a really brilliant one. I think the Changsha inspiration was a stroke of genius. I love that they speak Cantonese, which is such a creative idea considering where Changsha came from. I actually really enjoy playing the character, and there are times I can really enjoy playing against them. I just think that some of their cosmetics aren't the best. I still have a lot of trouble reading some of their dodge attacks. I think that they don't need all the dodge cancellations that they do. And some of the fighting style that they have is a little awkward. Plus, I still can't get over the fact that their pistol can just shoot constantly without being reloaded. I love the execution they got lately where they can where they reload the pistol during the fight, but then there's that other execution where they pull out two pistols and just fire them one after the other. That was kind of dumb. So whatever the case. Yeah, all I need to do now is keep saying we don't need a Spartan, and then suddenly they'll add that, right? The devs watch me not because they enjoy my work, but they can just go, hey, anything Raven says, do the opposite. Anyway, okay, all right, let's move on. Medjay, oh Medjay, you poor baby. All right, I'm putting you up here right behind Shugo in C tier. Now, let me say this about Medjay. I like Medjay. I think Medjay is a cool character, and I like that we went to ancient Egypt, but there are a couple problems with Medjay. The first being, the weapon he's using isn't a real weapon historically. I know where they got it from. There are a lot of hieroglyphs and images in ancient Egyptian art that show soldiers and people holding these big fans, but those aren't fan blades. They're just fans. They aren't actual blades. There's no historical evidence that these fan blades, as they've been created, were real. So you could have gone to a real Egyptian weapon like a khopesh. But, okay, you went with the fan blade. Okay, it's kind of creative what you did. You know, you can... It's a staff, but then you can change it to an offensive staff where, you know, it changes its properties. Okay, cool. Too bad the offensive mode where it's twin axes is just Berserker with Warden's shoulder bash. Really? To me, Medjay's whole situation is his staff stance is the most unique thing about him, but his axe stance is just Berserker mixed with Warden's shoulder bash. And I'm not a big fan of that. Now, granted, I do like the ability to mix into different stance modes mid-combo. That's cool. I do like that. I think that's neat. But overall, I don't think that he holds a candle to some of the other characters we get after him. I want to like Medjay. I think that he's a cool cat. I think he's a cool character. And I love his presence. Some of his cosmetics are some of the best out of the Outlanders, I'd argue. But his weapon and the way he uses it, I feel is odd. So I've got to say, Medjay doesn't impress me as much. He can be fun to play, and actually me and Spooky Wizard had a kind of a back and forth about Medjay and his viability, so I'm not saying he's bad. I've had some good matches with Medjay, but it's just weird for me seeing him the way he is. So yeah. All right, now Afeera. Oh, Afeera. So... how do I say this? How do I lean on this? With Afeera, I can't deny that they're good. They are a very strong hero, possibly one of the best duelists in the game. But on the other hand, they're almost so complex that it hurts them. So, I feel the best place to put them is right here in B tier. Just above Nobushi. Here's my thing about Afeera. She has been blessed by the gods of For Honor with every single thing possible except for trap attacks. She has undodgeables. She has unblockables. She has displacement attacks. She has bashes that guarantee heavies. She has a charging bash that guarantees a heavy. She has feats that guarantee damage. She has a zone attack which can free flow into everything else she needs to do. She has crushing counters on her light attacks. Her heavies have enough trajectory that dodging them is difficult. Everything about Afeera screams a Swiss Army knife. She has so much versatility and usability in her capabilities that it's almost like, how do you fight her? It's so difficult to fight a good Afeera. And that's part of the reason why I don't enjoy her as much as some of the others. Because I feel like she has so many options, I can't figure out how to best use her or counter her. So that's kind of why I can't put her higher than B tier. Because while I have to admit, she's an incredible character, as a casual loser like me, I struggle. I struggle to fight her, and I struggle to fight against her. So it's one of those things where I acknowledge you're amazing, but that almost makes it harder for me to like you in that sense. And does that make sense? I feel like I'm not making sense there, but that's kind of how I feel about Afeera. So that's where I stand on that regard. Okay. Next up is Ocelotl. Oh, Ocelotl, you poor bastard. All right, Ocelotl, I'm putting you in D tier ahead of Aramusha. So let me explain Ocelotl to you guys. The aesthetics of Ocelotl are great. I think he looks cool. A lot of his outfits are awesome. And he's one of the few characters that I think you can make look good regardless of paint pattern you use. I like the weapon combination. I think the Maquitl club and the Tipotztopoli spear is a good combination. Why I don't like him is because he is not only boring to play, but just low IQ to play. He has an infinite combo so long as he does a different attack, and then when he does the same attack, not only does it end the combo, but it changes the property of what he's doing. And I just feel like there's so much Unga Bunga energy, just heavy, light, heavy, zone, light, and then just end it with a bash that goes into a catch and then does extra damage. It's just, man. I think the problem I have with him is it just feels so low IQ sometimes. There's not a lot of thought that has to go into an Ocelotl because all you got to do is literally press buttons. Literally, playing Ocelotl requires you to just press buttons. So that's why I'm not a big fan of him. I respect what they were trying to do, but in my opinion, he just doesn't impress as much as he should. And they're not going to fix him because he's just so good at what he does. But anyway, Varangian. Oh, hi Varangian. Get your ass down there. Varangian, I think, is perhaps the most hated character in For Honor right now. I think that everyone hates Varangian. Now, I want to stress this before I go any further. I don't want to hate Varangian. I don't want to. I really don't. I don't want to hate Varangian. But I think Raptor Rex did a very good job explaining why Varangian is so hated. Go watch his video if you haven't, and I think that could explain everything right there. Varangian is just a very annoying character. They can do way too much damage for what they're doing. They're highly defensive. They can get crushing counters off of their dodges. They can get crushing counters off of static. Their all guard is one of the strongest in the game right now, even though it's a temporary all guard. Their heavy unblockable mix-up is so damn strong. Everyone hates Varangian. Everyone hates Varangian. I know there's some people who can get behind them, but anytime I see a Varangian on the other team, I'm just like, all right, this is going to be hell in a handbasket. This is going to be really, really frustrating to deal with because the unblockable heavy is almost impossible to dodge properly unless you're committing to a dodge attack, which they can easily just quickly move. They can instantly just fade into their all guard and then punish you anyway. So, yeah, Varangian, you annoy everyone. You annoy everyone, just saying. All right. Sohei. A tier, a little ahead of Kensei. I thought about making Sohei S tier once upon a time, but the only reason I don't put them in S tier is because Sohei's second feat is way too good. In fact, it's broken. Sohei, when he first came out, a lot of people didn't like because they said he was too weak. His overall damage was too low for him to be viable. And they did not like his funny button where he could just grab you and impale you and get a lot of damage off of. So I could understand why a lot of people didn't like Sohei at the start. But I loved Sohei from the very beginning. I thought he was an awesome character, and I really enjoy playing him. The only problem I have with him is once he gets his second and fourth feat, he becomes functionally immortal. Sohei with his second and fourth feat is almost completely unstoppable because with the second feat, once he gets all of his souls, he can just insta-heal himself without any effort and then keep right on going. Then if he uses his fourth feat to get all of his souls back, he can insta-heal again. I've heard it said, why would you even want to use your funny button until you know you've won? Because all you have to do is just constantly heal yourself once you get all your souls. So because of that, he needs to have his second feat fixed. Once that gets fixed, I don't mind moving him up to S because I really love playing Sohei. I think he's a very, very fun character to play. So I really enjoy Sohei. I know a lot of people have their issues with him, but I think he's a very fun, entertaining character, and I think that he is worth picking up if you haven't yet. So there you go. That's Sohei. Hatun. I'm going to move up to B tier right behind JJ. I think that's a safe place for Hatun. Hatun needs a little bit of love. Now, here's what I mean. I actually like Hatun a lot. I know that there's some who hate, some who love. I get that. I like her. I really do. In fact, she's taught me to respect deflects. She's one of the characters who can very easily get into the deflect, which I really like. And I like a lot of how her moves work. I like her pinning heavy, which goes into another heavy, which then releases. It can do a lot of damage, which I really like. The problem is, I feel like that's all that she can rely on. And I also hate the fact, and this is what I hate about it, it's hard for her to get executions. And in a 4v4 game mode, where you may need executions to get some health back, it can be very difficult for you to get the heavies you need. Think about this for a second. Her initial heavy, when she does her heavy little thing where she goes, bam, bam, release. Only that initial bam can guarantee the execution, and that first bam only does 5 damage. Because it's a combo thing. That's 5, and then another time, and then another. But none of the follow-up parts of that combo guarantee an execution. Only the first one does. So if you're in a 4v4 scenario, and you need some health quick, and you want to execute to get that health, well, you're out of luck because it can be very difficult to pull off a proper heavy with Hatun and get that execution. So you could be out of luck. I feel like they need to fix it. Make it so that she can get an execution off of any parts of the phase where she does that three phase heavy. You know what I'm saying? Because she really needs that help. She needs that extra health to help her out, if you know what I'm saying. If that makes sense to you guys. Otherwise, her outfits look good. Her design is great. Her overall presence is badass. I love the Mongolian mommy. I love the stepmommy. All right. Now to the last one. For those of you who have stuck around this long and haven't unsubscribed or just disliked me into oblivion or run to Reddit to say I'm shit, I appreciate you sticking around and being supporters. Virtuosa. Where am I going to put Virtuosa? So I thought about it. I gave it some serious thought. And after carefully considering it, then this was a difficult one. I put her just above Shaolin. Now, hear me out. Hear me out. I love Virtuosa. I think she's incredibly fun to play. I love her design. I love her personality. I love her cosmetics. I love her facial animations. I love her executions. I love her emotes and her signatures. I love so much about this hero. There are just 2 problems I have with her. There are just 2 problems I have. The first is I have to agree with something that I think it was Combat Corbin or one of Spooky Wizard's friends said. You get rewarded for not engaging. You basically go into your pose very naturally and then just don't do anything because you can evade everything. Consider, with the exception of Black Prior, every other all-guard hero has to deal with unblockables or bashes that can knock them out of their all-guard. Virtuosa doesn't have to worry about those. So there's only two things you can do. Throw an undodgeable or throw a guard break. And all Virtuosa has to do is, if she reads that coming, just throw an attack like a side heavy that has hyper armor, or throw a very quick light to cancel you out of it. She gets rewarded for not engaging. You believe Smorgan said that? Okay, it was either Combat Corbin or Smorgan. I couldn't remember who said it, but I know it was one of them. And I have to kind of agree. If you have two Virtuosas side by side against you in a gank situation, and they just both go into their poses, well, now it's a staring contest. They don't have to do a damn thing, because they know whatever you do, you're fucked. You cannot focus on one without the other punishing you for it. You can't guard break one without the other combating you. And you can't do a undodgeable attack, because with the exception of Zhanhu is the only exception. Zhanhu's zone is undodgeable. So Zhanhu's the only character out of any of the cast who has a response to that scenario. That's why so many people lately have been playing Zhanhu, have been playing Black Prior, have been playing Orochi, they've all been playing characters who can throw undodgeable attacks very easily and can catch a Virtuosa who just decides to sit in her pose. And I understand why. Now, yeah, you can even CC Zhanhu in Warlord Zone. Yeah, you can. You can crush and counter those for sure. The problem is they're the only characters who even have a possible response to it. So I will not lie. I understand the frustration that people have with Virtuosa. When people say she's annoying as hell because she basically is a character who can just afford to not engage with the other player and just sit in the zone and evade everything and reap rewards from it, I 100% get it. I understand the frustration. I don't think she's OP. I don't think she's unstoppable. I think that what may need to happen, and this is a maybe, I feel like I need to put this on a poster and put it at the front of every one of my videos. I'm not an expert on mechanics in this game. I'm not an expert in balancing. But if I were to make a change to her pose, it would be this. You know how her pose does not drain stamina, but it doesn't gain stamina either? If you go into the pose, your stamina is just stuck. If you stay in the pose longer than 2 seconds, the stamina starts to drain. This forces her to at least act. She cannot just sit in that pose indefinitely and go, I'm going to dodge you no matter what you do, and turn it into a staring contest. She has to do something. Because remember what this game used to be. Remember when this game first came out? The big argument was it was all a staring contest. It was just two characters staring at each other and reacting. Virtuosa is one of those staring characters who just reacts to everything now. So I think what needs to happen is you need to put the ball in her court. You need to light a fire under her ass and make her act a little bit. So I think the best thing to do is force her hand. Make it so that the longer she stays in that stance, the more she's punished for it. She has to act. I don't care how you make her act, just make her perform, because if all she does is sit there going, I don't have to do a damn thing, I can just sit here all damn day until you decide to do something, that doesn't engage with the meta they're trying to make for the character. She's not OP just like Kyoshin isn't OP. I agree, and I want to stress this as well. I don't think Kyoshin's OP. I just think he is a shit character in 4v4s because I can't stand what he does. But the problem I have with Virtuosa is if you're going to create a meta around the game, which is all about reading and engaging and constantly moving with the flow of battle, it makes no sense to have a character who can very easily just sit in one stance the whole time and say, I'm not going to do a damn thing. And I'm going to say this as well. I would say this about a lot of the All-Guard characters. I think that a lot of the All-Guard characters suffer from the same problem. Black Prior, Conqueror, Warlord. I think a lot of them can just say, all right, I'm sitting in my All-Guard. I'm not going to do a damn thing. I'm going to let you react to me. I think that's not a healthy way to play in this game. I think it is. Now, to be fair, some of them, like Black Prior, have so many options out of an All-Guard, like an unblockable heavy, or they can do a bulwark counter. They have options in their All-Guard. Warlord has options in his All-Guard. He can go into a bash forward with his headbutt. He can do a light. He can do a heavy. He has options. But just sitting in an All-Guard the whole time and just saying, I'm not going to move a damn muscle, that's not healthy. Now, of course, that's a player choice. But with Virtuosa, I've seen so many cases recently where people just sit and pose and do nothing. Where a Virtuosa just sits in her pose and does nothing. And you know what? I'm not going to lie, that is annoying. And the reason why is because you can't punish her for it. You can't bash her out of the pose, she'll just dodge it. You can't unblockable out of the pose, she'll just dodge it. The only thing you can do is throw a guard break, which she could very easily read you starting the animation and throw a light. Or you can throw an undodgeable, which she can crush and counter. Are you starting to see the issue? I love Virtuosa because she's such a fun character to play. She's a breath of fresh air. She's a character with a lot of spunk, a lot of personality, some great drip, and a very fun play style. But I will not lie, something will have to change about her, or else the community will continue to be wishy-washy on her. You're going to have people who think she's the best thing to ever come to the game, and there's going to be people who think she's the worst thing to ever come to the game. My stance is this. I think she's an incredible character out of the game, and I absolutely love her, but something has to give. Because right now, Smorgan has a point. She's being rewarded for not engaging. And in a game where you want the characters to engage, because that's what they've said. They want this to be a read-based game where the characters are always moving, the combat's always happening, characters are constantly flowing around and moving and trying to outread the other. When you have a character who can do anything they want regardless of your read, goddamn, that is bad for the meta. So something has to give there. Maybe you could have it where it drains her stamina a little bit as she does it, or maybe if she stays in it too long, it drains her stamina. Like, just, look, light a fire under her ass and get her to do something. That's how you fix her. And even then, maybe someone will come along who has a lot more knowledge than me and say, Raven, you don't know what you're talking about. That wouldn't fix Virtuoso at all. And you know what? Maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. Like I'm going to say 100 times and 100 times over, I'm not a professional in this game. I don't know all the tips and tricks. I'm not good. Anytime I play with someone like Professor POV or Havoc or Wextra or anyone like them, they're always getting more kills or more reward than I am. I'm always dragging behind. You should have seen me in my last match with Spooky Wizards team. I think I got 1 and 8. 1 kill, 8 deaths. And we still won, thank God, because Spooky Wizard and his crew are so awesome. But I know I'm not good at this game. More often than not, I have thought about just giving up on making content for this game because I've been told so often how bad I am at it. So please understand that this list is not an objective list. I've already been told by some of my own community, hey Raven, we really like your list where you make subjective discussions, but please don't make any objective ones because you don't know what you're talking about. And believe me, I agree with you. So understand that when I make this list, it is all purely based on how I feel about the heroes. If you think that they're better than they are, great. If I put someone on the bottom here that you think deserves to be up here, fine, you're free to think that way. You're free to disagree with me. All I ask is that you understand where I'm coming from. That was a bit of my depression talking. Because I didn't think I was going to go here on this stream, but I'll go ahead and say it. For a long time, I have felt like I don't deserve to be a For Honor content creator. For a long time, I have felt that I don't deserve to be a For Honor content creator. Because I am not able to keep up with a lot of the others out there. When I got early access to Virtuosa, and I was with the other content creators, I really felt like I was in an area I didn't belong. Not because they didn't make me feel included, but because I didn't feel like I knew any of what they were talking about. God bless Wextra, Break and Run, and Havoc for making me feel included, and King Angelus as well. But I felt like I didn't know what was going on. I didn't understand. Like when JC said thanks to the early access guys for finding some of the bugs that we missed. I wasn't one of those who found any of the bugs. I was just figuring out, hey, what's her historical connection? What's a lore that could go well with her? What's good? How can I grade these executions? I didn't know the first thing about the characters. And as I've played these last few weeks, I've been destroyed so frequently and so viciously that I feel like, man, why do I even try? I can't be them. Now, my brother has pointed out, you didn't gain your audience by being Havoc or Wexer or a Break and Run or King Angelus or Professor POV. I gain my audience because of what I do. But what I do isn't what people want to see anymore, apparently. I can't do Heroes in History every other week because I have to wait on a new hero to come out, which I am working on, by the way, with Virtuosa. I can't do Executions Great at any time I want to. I've got to wait for Executions to come out, which I got to wait for the next Executions to come out for Hero Fest so that I can do that. I can't make Legends constantly nonstop because not everyone cares about the lore. I have been told so many times no one gives a shit about the lore or about the historical accuracy or about the realism. And you know what? You're right. Most people don't care about that. What do they care about? They care about gameplay, and that's something I cannot give. So when I release a tier list like this, like last time, and I get all these comments from people saying, you don't know what you're talking about, you're delusional, you're a fool, and all that kind of stuff, all I can say is, you're right! So, there are days I wish I was not who I was. There are days I wish that I was cooler than I am. But I am who I am. So that's all I can be. One second, made a drink. I love this game. I love this community. I love the content creators that I've been able to work with and talk with. But there are times I really do feel like I don't belong in the content creator community. Not all the time, but a lot of the time. Well, this is the tier list as I've made it. Like I said, it is all my personal opinion. None of it is objective. None of it is based on anything more than my own issues with the characters or praise for the characters. I did take time to think about it. I really did. I did take a long time to consider it. So right now, I got a lot more stuff to take care of today. I've got a meeting in about 45 minutes, so I got to run for that. I've also got to make my next video, or at least get started on it. So I've got a lot of work to do, so I won't be available right away. I don't know if I'll be able to stream tonight. I'm going to try. I'm definitely going to try to stream tonight. I'll be on Twitch because I'm trying to help y'all with the Twitch drops while they're still active, if they're still active. Well, anyway. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.